In the future, disasters and natural crises threaten the planet, forcing world leaders to meet and seek solutions. After exhaustive discussions at the UN, they agreed to reduce the global population by 20%, justifying the decision by considering that every disaster they face can be traced back to human beings. With the order issued by the UN Secretary General, all international borders are closed until each nation reduces its population to the required number. This measure is taken due to severe food and resource shortages worldwide. Later, a government distribution vehicle delivers water to the locals. At that moment, a girl notices officials from the Department of Citizen Strategy cleaning out a house after sacrificing one of its residents. Bob, who oversees the operation, hands a document to the woman inside, confirming that her home now meets the population requirements. Elsewhere, pianists Jusuf and Malik walk by and see a commercial promoting volunteering for the euthanasia program. Outraged at the world state, Malik throws his coffee at the billboard. Jusuf and Malik arrive at Charles York's residence, shading themselves from the sun with an umbrella because of extreme solar radiation. Outdoors, people must use umbrellas and install polarized protectors on their windows. Inside the residence, Jusuf and Malik carry a large umbrella upstairs, while a man on TV discusses the benefits of enlisting in the population reduction program. He even suggests lowering the enrollment age to include children, enraging viewers nationwide. When asked if he'd allow his own child to enlist, he replies that he would consider it. Watching TV, Malik and Jusuf realize the speaker is Jared York, Charles York's son, and a famous journalist. Outraged, they criticize Jared, but when Charles hears them apologize, he assures them he shares their anger and disagrees with his son's opinions. After the movers leave, Charles looks at a family photo of his second wife, Down, and his children, Jared, Ashley, Rachel, and his adopted son, Noah. Charles has invited them all to dinner. Meanwhile, Down, a famous chef, prepares an elaborate Korean meal. At the same time, Charles cleans the house of alcohol and other items as if preparing to leave. Distressed, Down cries while embracing her husband. On the news, they report that the Department of Citizen Strategy is now armed to handle unrest, and they reveal that York Therapeutics, Rachel's company, is being sued for fraud. Later, Jared arrives at his father's house. As he sits in his car, his wife angrily calls him about his television interview and threatens to keep him from seeing their child. Jared tries to defend himself, claiming the reporter misrepresented his words, but his wife hangs up without listening. Inside the house, Jared waits for Charles to finish getting ready for dinner. Charles removes the protective canopy from the window to feel the sunlight, but the heat is unbearable. Moments later, he goes downstairs to see Rachel arriving with her daughter, Mia. Delighted to see his granddaughter, Charles asks Rachel why she brought her, reminding her that the dinner was for adults only. Mia heads to the kitchen, and Rachel explains that her daughter saw the news about the accusations against York Therapeutics and became upset, so Rachel brought her along for comfort. Meanwhile, Noah hesitates at the door. He debates joining the family for dinner and calls his girlfriend Grace, who encourages him to go in and take the opportunity to reconnect. After ending the call, Noah still doubts, but when he meets Ashley, she persuades him to come inside with her. As they drive, Ashley excitedly tells him she landed a role in a video game commercial. During their conversation, Noah mentions Grace, prompting Ashley to ask why he hasn't introduced her to his family. Noah asks her to keep it secret until he's ready. Ashley agrees, but makes him promise no more secrets between them. When they arrive, Charles is pleasantly surprised to see Noah after so long and greets him warmly. Now that everyone is gathered, the family sits down to enjoy a delicious dinner. Down, who recently closed her restaurant, seems particularly melancholic. During the meal, Charles raises his glass and apologizes to his children for not spending enough time with them due to his demanding work. After dinner, Charles reveals the real reason for the gathering. He and Down have enlisted in the voluntary population reduction program to contribute to the country's 20% reduction goal. He explains that this is why he wanted an adults-only dinner and asks Mia to go upstairs. Jared questions his father's decision, noting that the family doesn't need the government's financial incentives for volunteers. Charles responds that after reporting on the Amazon rainforest's extinction from wildfires, he realized the planet can no longer sustain more people. He adds that if no one volunteers and the government is forced to select people at random, he would never forgive himself if one of his children were chosen. Jared, who has political connections to the government's enlistment program, assures his parents that even if they were selected, he could take their place, making their early sacrifice unnecessary. He explains the policy requires only one family member to enlist, ensuring the safety of the rest and securing substantial compensation. Down responds that, given the family's prominence, their participation could inspire other families to volunteer and thus preserve the family legacy. The discussion heats up, and Down retreats to the kitchen while the rest of the family remains in disagreement. Later, they reconvene in the living room to continue debating the enlistment policy. Charles asks who would be chosen first if no one volunteers. Jared explains that illegal immigrants top the selection list, but their families would receive compensation and immediate citizenship. Outraged, Charles accuses Jared of promoting a racist policy and mentions how hatred toward Asian countries has risen, as they are often blamed for the global crisis. He firmly states he doesn't want his country to follow that path. Charles then reveals a painful truth. Down's restaurant wasn't closed by choice. It was burned down by racist attackers, leaving her deeply depressed. During the argument, Ashley accidentally mentions Noah's girlfriend, catching Charles's attention. Noah admits he is dating someone named Grace and assures them she is nothing like his exes, who had drug problems. He tells Charles about his troubled past. He battled drug addiction and was involved in a tragic accident that killed his girlfriend and left him severely injured. Now, he says, he has turned his life around and works playing piano at Grace's workplace. Charles expresses pride in Noah's progress. Shortly after, the family finds a letter from Down explaining she left because she cannot go through with the enlistment. Before they can process it, the doorbell rings. Bob and his team from the Department of Citizen Strategy have arrived. Charles informs Bob that Down has left and asks for time to bring her back and continue the euthanasia process. Bob speaks privately with Charles and hands him documents to sign. After reading them, Charles refuses and confronts Bob, asking, "Do you even know who I am?" Bob calm replies that he doesn't care as long as Charles' name is on the list. Later, the siblings gather in Charles's room while Noah plays the piano he brought earlier. It becomes clear Bob has convinced Charles to proceed with voluntary enlistment. Charles tells his children how much he loves them and informs them that his estate will be divided equally among the four of them. Bob administers the necessary drugs and Charles passes away peacefully. Bob's men then take his body away, but before leaving, Bob reminds Charles's children that he came for 2 bodies and has received only 1. In the face of chaos, the family refuses to offer another member, explaining that Down has disappeared and they have no one else to give. In response, Bob's men storm the house, demanding the family choose someone to sacrifice for the others. Bob seizes Mia and carries her to his car, assuring them he won't harm her because she is a minor. However, he gives them 2 hours to decide who will volunteer unless they find Down. Desperate, Jared says he can use his high-level government connections to help, but Bob reveals the house is completely sealed with no phone signal or internet access. He then exposes the family's darkest secrets stored by the government, including their browsing histories and crimes committed against each other, warning them that one of them will eventually have to sacrifice themselves for the rest. Rachel, furious at her multiple serious offenses, attacks Bob and strikes him in the face as he tries to read their secrets aloud. Despite this, Bob remains calm and withdraws with his men, warning that if they cannot decide in time, he will choose for them. Left alone, the family reads their files and is horrified by the revelations. Yet, despite the guilt and tension, they cannot agree on who should sacrifice themselves. They gather to discuss, and Jared suggests Noah should be chosen. Jared argues that Noah wasted all the opportunities his father gave him and ruined his life, so he should be the one to sacrifice himself. Ashley defends Noah, saying Jared is not a good person either, and doesn't deserve to be saved more than his brother. Noah insists he has changed and asks them to honor their father's wish to find a solution together. Frustrated and uncertain, the family calls Bob and tells him they cannot decide. Bob suggests drawing straws to choose at random, but everyone refuses. Then Rachel asks if they can simply offer a body instead of volunteering. Bob confirms this is possible and lets the family decide what to do next. After Bob leaves, Rachel convinces her siblings to betray Noah and stabs him. Suddenly, Ashley hands Rachel the knife, and together with Jared, they attack Noah with pepper spray and a metal rod. Injured, Noah pleads with them to stop, reminding them that they are family, but they ignore him. He defends himself skillfully but refuses to fight Ashley, who blinds him with the pepper spray. Rachel takes advantage and stabs him in the back. Noah crawls to the bathroom, tries to treat his wounds, and sends a message to Grace. Seeing there is no signal, he throws his phone outside. Having sent the message, he decides to fight back, breaks a chair, and grabs a bat while Bob receives news that they have found Down, but chooses not to intervene and watches the conflict unfold, searching for his siblings. Noah finds Ashley hiding. She apologizes and says the others are in the living room. Before leaving, Noah is distracted by a family photo and Rachel stabs him in the hand, pinning him to the wall. He fails to strike back, and Ashley flees. Despite the pain, he pulls out the knife himself and takes refuge in another room, but Jared pursues him. Noah confronts and fights Jared, then stabs Rachel in the neck with a fork. He attempts to escape, but Ashley attacks him from behind and knocks him unconscious. His siblings tie him up and prepare to kill him together. But when they raise their knives, none of them can bring themselves to do it. At that moment, Grace arrives, demanding to see Noah and starts recording, alarming them. Jared, Rachel, and Ashley rush out to confront her, while Mia tries to escape the bus. They shout for her to run, but one of Bob's men shoots her and kills her. The family is left in shock. Desperate, Rachel suggests handing over Grace, but Bob refuses because she isn't a York. He gives them 15 minutes to decide and leaves. When he returns, the lights go out. With flashlights, they search for Noah but are ambushed. Noah attacks them by surprise, stabs Ashley, kills Rachel and Jared, and strangles Ashley until Rachel begs him to stop. Moved, he releases Ashley and declares that no one from the family will die. They will work together to kill Bob and his men. After treating Ashley's wounds, they prepare their plan. When Bob enters with his team, Ashley lies on the floor, apparently unconscious, while Bob inspects the scene. The three siblings then reveal their true intentions. Ashley stabs one of Bob's men, and Noah holds another at knife point. The remaining guards arrive, but Bob, seeing no alternative, orders them to stand down and surrender their weapons. As demanded, the guards leave. The siblings then knock out Bob. When Bob regains consciousness, he is tied up. The siblings prepare to kill him in the same way he killed their father. Bob warns them that attacking a government official will have serious consequences. The government will retaliate against the family, and Grace's life will be at risk. As Jared moves to inject Bob with the euthanasia drug, Bob proposes a deal. If they let him go, he will help them clean up all their legal troubles without anyone finding out. The siblings exchange glances, realizing this may be their best option. Sometime later, Noah wears an elegant suit and plays the piano at a grand concert. In the audience are Rachel, Jared, his son Mia, and Down, proudly watching his moving performance. Meanwhile, the news announces that Ashley and Grace have been enrolled in the voluntary euthanasia program and are being honored as national heroes. Bob appears on television praising their bravery and claiming he collected their bodies himself. The nation celebrates Ashley and Grace as selfless martyrs, never knowing the truth behind their supposed sacrifice.